Tere! Olete jõudnud 4. sessiooni ja siin sessioonis räägime laste ja noorte sobimatust seksuaalkäitumisest, selle kujunemisest ja selle mõjutamise võimalustest. Meil on ettekanded ekspertidelt Eestist, Soomest ja Belgiast. Sessiooni lõpetamegi eksperdiga Belgiast diskussiooniga. Me teame, et laste ja noorte probleemset seksuaalkäitumist seda esineb nii laste ja noorte endi vahel, kui ka mõnel juhul lapsed võivad olla ka täiskasvanute suhtes sobimatu seksuaalkäitumisega. Ja siin sessioonis, nagu öeldud, me uurime sobimatu seksuaalkäitumise kujunemist. Mõnel juhul võib see seksuaalkäitumine olla ka neid endid või siis teisi kahjustavad. Uurime ka viise, kuidas seda käitumist hinnata ja millised on võimalused sekkuda. Teil kõigil on võimalus aktiivselt selles sessioonis osaleda. Te saate küsida küsimusi ettekannete tegijalt, selleks minnes päevakavas konkreetse ettekande tegija nime juurde ja esitades seal need küsimused juba ettekande ajal või ka koheselt. Ja teiseks on teil võimalus enda kogemust ja arvamust jagada vastates küsimustele. Ja me läheksimegi nüüd kohe esimese küsimuse juurde workshop keskkonnas ja see küsimus kõlab selliselt. Kas olete enda töös kokku puutunud laste või noorte sobimatu seksuaalkäitumisega? Et väga lihtne vastata kas ei või jah. Ja peale esimest ettekannet me tuleme siis selle juurde tagasi, et milline teie kui selles sessioonis osalejate kogemus olnud on. Ja hiljem siis on teil võimalus veel erinevatele küsimustele vastata. Aga nüüd me liigume esimese ettekande juurde. Ja selle tegijaks on Lemme Haldre Tartu laste tugikeskusest. Lemme on seksoloog, kliiniline psühholoog ja pereterapeut. Ja Lemme ettekande pealkirjaks on ebakohase seksuaalkäitumisega laste hindamine, nõustamine ning kogemused töös kasuperede lastega. Ole hea, Lemme!
Tere kõigile konverentsi kuulajatele, konverentsi külastajatele. Täna ma räägin siis tööst kasuperede lastega ja nende ebakohasest seksuaalkäitumisest. Miks ma pean ja mida me üldse peame lapse seksuaalkäitumist sobimatuks, mida ma pean vanusgrupile vastavaks käitumiseks ja mõelgem ka ise kaasa, kuidas ma üldse suhtun laste seksuaalkäitumisse. Eestis on küll olemas sensuaalipusüsteem, mis on päris uus hindamisvahend, kus lapse käitumist tõlgendatakse kas sobilikuks, sobimatuks, lubamatuks või täiesti lubamatuks. Aga kahjuks täna selle teema sisse see lipusüsteem ei mahu, aga loodan, et mitmed meie hulgast on kas tutvumas või tutvunud juba selle süsteemiga. Sobimatu seksuaalkäitumine. See laps võib olla naiivne eksperimentaator, sellepärast, et ta alles katsetab, õpib maailma tundma ja ta ei tea kõike. Tal võivad olla vähemised suhtlemis- ja probleemide lahendamisoskused. Tal võivad olla väärad arusaamad sõprussuhetest, puudulik seksuaalharidus. Need on need nutilapsed, kes oma seksuaalkogemused on saanud neti teel. Nendega ei ole tegeldud, nendega ei ole räägitud. Ja sobimatut seksuaalkäitumist ilmutavad uuringute põhjal ka rohkem erivajadusega lapsed. Need on hüpergeneetiliste häiretega, väiksed hüpikud, need on autismispektriga häired ja kindlasti veel. Aga ma tahaksin täna rääkida natukene sügavamalt, kui need vähese seksuaalharidusega lapsed. Me räägime kasuperede lastest, kes väga tihti on tulnud peredest, kus on vähene kiindumussuhe olnud. Kiindumussuhte autoriks oli John Bowlby, kellest ma ei saa kuidagi mööda minna. Ja Bowlby on kirjutanud teooria, mille põhjal lapsel kujunevad esimesel eluaastal oma vanemaga kas turvaline seotus või mitte turvaline seotus, millel on omakorda variandid. Ja see määrab väga palju hilisemas inimese elus. Turvalise kiindumussuhtega lastel kujuneb positiivne töömudel. Ma loodan, et paljudel kuulajate hulgast just see mudel on kujunenud. Nende inimeste ja laste enesehinnang on kõrgem. Ebaõnnestumise korral neil on suurem usk endasse. Nad usuvad, et seekord läks kehvasti, aga küll asjad lähevad. Lapsed, kes pole kogenud oma vanemaga turvalist kiindumussuhet ja kellel kujuneb negatiivne töömudel, nende prisma on selline, et uskumus, et maailm on pigem vaenulik, kedagi ei või usaldada ja ka nende enesehinnang on hoopis teistsugune. Miks see kiindumussuhe nii tähtis on, et sellest rääkida ka laste seksuaalkäitumise puhul? Seda sellepärast, et varane kiindumussuhe mõjutab peaaegu kõiki eluvaldkondi, tundemaailma, stressiga toimetulekut, õppimist ja ta seletab ka laste mõningaid suhtlemisprobleeme ja on vahel seotud ka laste ebakohase seksuaalkäitumisega. Kui me mõtleme lapse peale, kes pole kunagi elus kogenud lähedust, pole kunagi kogenud ka kõneeelselt juba kiigutamist, silitamist, paitamist. See laps ei tea, mis see on, aga tahab seda tunda. Kui sa mind katsud ja silitad, siis olen ma valmis kõigeks. Väga tihti need lapsed otsivad eelkõige füüsilist lähedust, mida nad kunagi elus kogenud ei ole. Häiritud suhted inimestega. Siia olen pannud 2 loovtööd. Mõlemad need lapsed on kasvanud peredes, kus nad turvalist kiindumussuhet pole kogenud. Üks asenduskodus, teine mitme kasuvanemaga ühest perest teise pillutatud ja sellisena kujutasid nad oma loovtöid. Asendushooldusele ja kasuperedesse sattunud lapsed on sagedamini kogenud ka igat liiki väärkohtlemist ja hooletusse jätmist. See väärkohtlemine võib olla vaimne, füüsiline, seksuaalne. Need lapsed on tihti ülestimuleeritud nendest kogemustest, mida nad oma peredes on näinud ja selle tulemusena on kahjustunud nende ajuosad. Nad on kogenud liiga palju erutust, liiga palju emotsionaalseid reaktsioone ja need lapsed pole võimelised end maha rahustama. Nad kogevad tihti äkkviha, ängistust, nende reaktsioonid võimenduvad kergesti, nad kaotavad kergemini enesevalitsemist ja nad elavad teiste peal ennast välja ja sageli pole eesmärgiks mitte mingi seksuaalne erutus, vaid nende seksuaalsed liiki teod, mida ka teised lapsed tõlgendavad seksuaalsena, on lihtsalt reaktsioonid enesevalitsemise kaotusele. Taanis Kopenhaagenis asub Jaanuskeskus ja nad tegelevad kuni 21-aastaste noortega, kes on teinud seksuaalset liiki tegusid teiste laste suhtes. Ja tihti arvatakse, et need lapsed, kes teevad seksuaalset liiki tegusid, on ise olnud seksuaalse väärkohtlemise ohvrid, kuid taanlased leidsid, et ainult 20% nendest lastest olid ise seksuaalse väärkohtlemise ohvrid, aga pange tähele, 60-80% lastest olid elanud perevägivallaga kodudes. Midagi nende emotsionaalsuses oli kõvasti muutunud ja arusaamades. Laps otsib oma olukorrale lahendust ja osa lapsi internaliseerib saadud kogemused, teine pool elab need väljapoole. Siin on palju erinevaid faktoreid, mille pärast osad lapsed käituvad selliselt ja teised teisiti. Kui lapse arengut on mõjutanud vägivallaga seotud ebasoovitavad faktorid, siis osadel lastel tekib kõrgendatud huvi seksuaalsuse suhtes ja teised lapsed vastupidi kardavad kõike, mis on seotud inimkeha ja seksuaalsusega. Finkelor, mees, kes on kirjutanud väga palju sellel teemal, ütleb, et toimub 3 olulist protsessi nende laste puhul. Traumaatiline seksualiseerumine, kus nende seksuaalkäitumine muutub. Reetmise ja jõuetuse tunde kujunemine suhetes, mistõttu neil on tunne, et need, keda ma kalliks pean, ei saa mind aidata, ma ei saa kedagi usaldada. Ja stigmatiseerumine, mistõttu nad hakkavad tundma, et nad on kuidagi teistsugused kui teised lapsed ja sellest tuleneb nende seksuaalselt häiriv käitumine. Seksuaalkäitumises peegelduvad meie varasemad elukogemused. See on dünaamiline protsess. Selle taga võib olla häirinud ja häiritud mitteturvaline kiindumussuhe. Selle taga võib olla perevägivalla kogemused, selle taga võib olla seksuaalne väärkohtlemine ja selle taga võib olla ka puudulik seksuaalharidus. Kasuperede lapsed vajavad seksuaalharidust. Kõige tähtsam seksuaalhariduse puhul on enesehinnang. See minapilt lapse puhul. Ja selle seksuaalhariduse sisuks on tundekasvatus, info, oskused, väärtused ja sellest tuleneb parem seksuaalkäitumine. Tähtis on, et lapsed suudaksid suhelda seksuaalsuse ja piiridega seotud küsimustes. See tähendab, et nad tunneksid, et on loomulik ilma pahandamata avaldada oma soove ja tundeid, et ma julgen esitada küsimusi täiskasvanu käest, aga et ta mõistaks enda ja teiste inimeste tundemaailma, soove, oskaksid vajadusel abi leida, oskaksid vajadusel pöörduda, kui nad seda abi vajavad. Kasuperede lapsed vajavad seksuaalkasvatust. Nendega tuleb palju teha kõnelusi, arutada elu plusse ja miinuseid, õpetada probleemide lahendamist, nii et arutelude käigus, mitte et lapsele ette öelda, kuidas ta peaks käituma. Ja seks ja füüsiline lähedus tuleks alati siduda armastuse, hoolimise ja partneri austamisega. Kui lapsel on olnud halbu elukogemusi, siis on tähtis tekitada lapses tunne, et trauma on üks episood ja mitte veel kogu elu. Turvaline kiindumussuhe, mida nad pole kogenud, pole küll õpetatav, kuid on ajaga parandatav. Kasuperede laps vajab häid lugusid. Inimene on mosaiik lugudest, mida räägivad teised. Selle tõttu lood, mida me lapsest räägime, on tegelikult kaugele ulatuva mõjuga. Laps õpib positiivsest kogemusest. Häid asju lapsest räägib kohe, mitte hiljem. Need positiivsed lood võimaldavad ka temal muutuda. Kasuperede lapsed, kes on kogenud väärkohtlemist, kes on traumeeritud, tuleb mõnikord suunata ka teraapiasse. Neil on võimalik saada traumateraapiat, on EMDR spetsiaalsed tehnikud, väikelastele mänguteraapia, kognitiivkäitumisteraapia, mitmed loovteraapia meetodid ja väga vahva on Teraplay metoodika. See on mängude kompleks just kiindumussuhte häirega ja traumeeritud lastele. Mõned näited lihtsalt nendest mängudest. Lastes tekitatakse turvatunde mitmete füüsilise mängude kaudu, kus on füüsilist kontakti. Tähtis on silmside, rahustav hääl, puudutused. Need võivad olla siis selja ja jalalapa masseerimised. Need võivad olla käte spa-mängud, kreemitamised, juustega mängimised, peanaha masseerimised, näomaalingud rahulikult seletades ja puudutades. Kiikumine, kiikumisharjutused, mis stimuleerivad vasakut ja paremat ajupoolkera. Kiindumussuhet asenduskodus, peretüüpi kodus aitab luua pikaajaline suhe, rohkem kui aasta, väike grupp lapsi üheskoos, et tekiks meie tunne, kodutundele vastav füüsiline keskkond ja muidugi vähe lapsi ühe täiskasvanu kohta. Ja tähelepanelik ja hooliv kognitiivselt stimuleeriv hoolitsus. Enamiku aja nende laste elust on neid kontrollinud teised inimesed. Selle tõttu on tähtis olla nende jaoks olemas, kui sa oled lubanud, teha asju, mida oled öelnud, et sa teed. Püüa anda lapse vanusele sobiv vastus, rääkida lapsega ja teda positiivselt puudutada. Tänan tähelepanu eest.
Nüüd aga enne järgmise ettekande juurde minemist saame korraks vaadata vastuseid esimesele küsimusele ja küsimus workshop keskkonnas oli see, kas teie, kes te siin sessioonis osalete, olete enda töös puutunud kokku laste või noortega, kes siis sobimatult on seksuaalkäitunud. Ehk meil õnnestub seda graafikut näha. Varasemalt oli näha, et kuskil 2/3 teist, kes küsimusele vastasid, olid enda töös laste ja noortega kokku puutunud, kes siis on väärkohtavalt käitunud. Ja ilmselt võib ka teha sellise järelduse, et kes te töötate laste ja noortega, siis varem või hiljem võib sellist seksuaalkäitumist esineda, mis vajab kuidagi sekkumist või reageerimist. Nii, vaatame korraks seda pilti. Ja 64%, peaaegu 65% teist on siis selliste olukordadega kokku puutunud. Ja enne veel, kui järgmise ettekande juurde läheme, pakume vastamiseks teise küsimuse, et siin on nüüd võimalik tekstiliselt vastata, vastuse variante ette ei ole antud. Ja küsimus kõlab järgmiselt. Kellega peaksite te nõu lapse või noore sobimatule seksuaalkäitumisele sekkumise osas? Ehk kelle poole pöörduksite, kui on vaja konsulteerida, kuidas siis reageerida? Või on küsimus selles, et kelle poole laps või noor nõustamisele suunata? Olge head, võtke hetk, et sellele küsimusele vastata ja selle sessiooni lõpus me vaatame need teie vastused üle, mis on siis kuvatud sellise sõnapilvena. Aga nüüd vaatame lähemalt, milline on Soome kogemus antud sihtrühmaga tegelemisel. Meile teeb ettekanne Jukka Aho. Jukka on kriisinõustaja ja seksuaalterapeut. Ja tema räägib siis tööst noortega kogukonnas Soome näitel ja pakub siis enda versiooni, enda tõlgenduse probleemse või teisi kahjustava seksuaalkäitumise kujunemisest. Dear Jukka, the screen is yours.
Tere tulemast ka minun puolesta. Olen Jukka Aho, kriisinõustaja ja seksuaalterapeut Soomesta. Sellega kahjuks lõpeb minu eesti keele oskus ja lõpuloengust pean inglise keeles, et kõik ametialane pädevus õigesti läheks. So, my presentation is about working with young people in the community, development of problematic or harmful sexual behavior. I work in Valita Sexual Violence Services. It's a third sector organization funded with revenue from Veikkaus. We have only 3 NGOs in Finland. One is in Oulu, and we are in Tampere, and the third one is in Helsinki, who are working with perpetrators in all ages. We have crisis intervention and support groups for victims and perpetrators. It provides individual, group and chat support. Our services are low-threshold services where the customer can remain anonymous. We work with victims, perpetrators and families, and we think it's important to understand the thoughts and feelings behind everyone who are in this situation. That's why I think my work is quite rich, and I think also it's much easier to work when I work all these people. Most important thing is close networking with the public sector and other organizations, that we can help our clients well. For here first, I want to say something about this Lanzarote Convention, the Council of Europe's Convention on the Protection of Children against Sexual Exploitation and Sexual Abuse. And why this? That convention requires that persons in fear of committing a sexual offense against a child must have appropriate access to effective preventive intervention programs or measures designed to assess and prevent the risk of offending. And we are taking in Finland just the first steps of this convention, but I'm happy we have even some work like these 3 NGOs. Little bit definitions. World Health Organization have this ICD-10 disease classification, and pedophilia is defined as the sexual tendency in which a person's sexual thoughts, ideas and desires are directed mainly towards children. On the other hand, Seto has argued that instead of sexual dysfunction or paraphilia, pedophilia should be seen as sexual orientation with regard to the age of the object of interest, not the gender. Many researchers see sexual preferences toward children as a lifelong trait that becomes conscious already in adolescence, normally in age 14 to 19. Treatment does not focus on eliminating the interest, but on managing self-regulation methods and living with the preference, and that's how we work here. There are lots of various reasons behind these actions, and we don't really know there is no one reason. There's lots of various reasons behind these actions. So we have to work with our clients like person. We have to ask their whole life, get the holistic picture of their life, how they're managing, what disease they have, or some medication, or how is the family life, and what are your boundaries, and how you think about other people, and so on. There can be challenges in social skills and interaction with people of their own age, pursuing aspects of control, capability and connectedness by abusive means, attachment problems, we see a lot, or some educational damage. And often there's also behind these actions experiences of bullying and in adolescence or childhood. some more. We have found there also sex or porn addiction, internet addiction, lots of autism spectrum, neuropsychiatric disorders. Of course, substance abuse. When you live in substance abuse world, sex is one way to pay your drug or alcohol, and that world is really violent. Some live in close religious societies where happens lots of sexual abuse. Most of our clients have thought distortions. That's the one big thing we have to work a lot. How you think about, how you say you can do some harm to other people, how you say to yourself. And we can find there lots of thought distortions. Of course, level of cognition may be reduced. And how about people who are worried about their sexual behavior but who have not committed any acts? These people we really have to find before they have done any violence to anybody. They have some same elements with those who have used violence. They are really motivated to work with their issues, and they are actively reflecting on their own sexuality. Some clients have reflecting this own sexuality for years before they ask help, or they have asking help for depression or some other reasons, because they can tell about their thoughts and feelings to nobody. They are often younger than perpetrators, and it's also important to observe whether they have obsessive compulsive symptoms or fantasies. We work with these fantasies, and these obsessive compulsive symptoms, we can send the client to work in psychiatry or somewhere else in therapy and so on. And how about people who have interest toward children? They can have lack of sexual skills, blurred boundaries. Boundaries are important. What are your own boundaries? How about you think the boundaries for others? And the boundaries are one of the big things also we have to work. It's a normal sexual education. To learn, know your own and other people's boundaries. There's difficulties in identification with peers, and also there comes feelings of alienation and isolation. You can talk about these thoughts to your friends when you talk in the school, like, you have met some really nice girl or boy and we had sex. But how about people who don't have interest like that? They are alone. We have seen that childhood abuse is not a visible underlying factor. Sometimes is it, but most of the time not. Attachment problems comes here again, and it's really important to know, is there any? If family have over-sexualized atmosphere, or if the child is exposed to non-age appropriate sexual material, that's also a risk. And every one of them is having a strong experience of stigma, or better, maybe I use the word shame. Working with shame is important, and with every client we talk about shame. Here's some idea how we work, and with the young people, mostly teenagers. First we meet 1 to 3 months, it depends on the client, how long we take the time to build engaging or the trust between the worker and the client. Identification of needs, motivation and life history. We make also risk mapping. Then comes intervention period, 6 to 3 months. Every meeting is 60 to 90 minutes. Also depends on the client, how much time we need. Goals are set together with the client and adapted as the process progresses. And sometimes for young people close to them may be involved in the process. People close to them are normally parents or friends or some girl or boyfriend, or also some professionals who are working around this young person. And finally, we have evaluation and feedback collection and follow-up. When client leaves our work, we call after 1 month, after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year, ask, how are you? If everything is well and the life is going on and you can live with your thoughts and live a life without the violence, then that's just really nice. But if there's something wrong or you feel bad, then you can always come back. We need to be aware about what the importance of the helper's actions and behavior. That makes a lot about when we build the confidence between client and worker. Clients have to be heard and encountered. That's the most important thing. So we take time, build the trust, and be ourselves in this work. We think that we need to be a little bit less professionals when we work with the teenagers. And we use also this FIT. It's feedback informed treatment. I leave after this presentation, which you all have a little information about the FIT. Some working methods we work here. We give the psychoeducation and education. It's targeted information, right information in right age. That's important, that the clients can understand what the information is. It's like sexual education, or however we want to call it. It's important that this developing emotional and safety skills. That includes also sex education. For young people, solution-oriented and functional work works well. The help is holistic. We are coping in everyday life as a strong part of the help. Emphasis on the young person's responsibility and agency is important. We are responsible. Everybody has responsibility about their own actions, also young people, and we work with that. And again, cooperation between professionals on the young person issues. And the most important thing is hope building and encouragement. Here's the new direction. I heard that in Estonia you have that. I have had that many years in prisons, but I don't know how you are in that program in social and healthcare field. But I leave also after this presentation a little information about this program. Here's one really nice example of this new direction program. We work 8 hours with this 9 primary needs in the Good Lives model. As you see, number 1, the experience of physical, mental and sexual well-being in your life. That's only one part when we talk about sexuality. And these other are as important also. Knowledge, self-efficacy, inner peace, spirituality, happiness, creativity, experience of intimacy, support, mutuality and friendship, and agency. This is the holistic way of working with our clients. So, what we can do? Some message to our government in Finland and Estonia that integrate care pathways into the public, social and healthcare services system. That's the most important thing to do now. What everybody can do, reduce stigma by talking about it. We can do that every day, or where we are meeting other professionals and also talk with the clients about that. We need to educate more professionals to better encounter the target group. And most important thing, which is important, every client who we work is encounter these people as human beings and create hope. Thank you. And at last, here's my dog, Rambo. He takes care of me every morning, every evening. We go out, have some nice walks in forests. We all professionals need to take care of ourselves, that we can be good professionals and meet people, stay calm, and give us our empathy to the clients. That's why it's good to know what makes good for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Juha, for this presentation, especially for the explicit explanation how you work with your clients and what different kinds of elements it includes. We have a couple of questions for you. I will try to present them in English, and hopefully we'll have the connection now. First of all, hi. First of all, I'd like to ask, how do the young people contact you? Do they come with their parents? Do they email you or call you? Or are they referred by some specialist? What's the usual scenario?
Okay, most of the clients comes from another specialist, from police or social worker or some youth worker or straight from doctor. Little bit from the parents, and the rest of them comes themselves. Some people put some email first, maybe some other name they have, or they call from the phone number. I can see that the number, and because they are really scared to contact.
Mm-hmm. Do you get also referrals from Children's Helpline, for example?
In Finland?
In Finland, yes.
Yes, we have lots of helplines, like this one is 24 hours open, but most are for victims, but there are this mental health NGO who have the helpline for everyone, and they should know where to direct the client then.
Okay. When we speak about the young offenders, as you mentioned this also in your presentation, but these children and youth who are with problem sexual behavior, how do you advertise your service to them? Is it visible in Finland, in the society, or do you have any ideas how to make it more visible?
Okay, example, if we go to Germany, you can see all the advertisement in the buses, in the TV and everywhere, but not in Finland yet. It's still a stigma also here. We have Instagram, Facebook, some stickers we put on the wall, or some other paper stuff for the professionals. It's we are just starting it. But the internet is nice.
Okay. You described your work with youth and young adults. What would you say to wrap up? What are the key topics you are working with if they come to treatment?
First of all, it's the trust we make we have to take time to make the trust between the client and the worker. Then maybe we can talk the real things and thoughts and feelings. So I think my work is mostly work with feelings and actions and understand what is behind them. We talk about attachment, the client's history a lot, and then look their life story at this moment and how we go on. Okay. Really positive way and try to build a new way in life.
Mm-hmm. And the last question, how often do you meet the families? Because you described that sometimes the over-sexualized behavior of the family or also the missing attachment has caused the behavior. So what are the main challenges with the families, or how often do you meet them or work with them, the family as well?
We don't have not so much. We have few parents like at the moment, but normally we work once in a week, 1 hour in a week, because we need to make a process, and then it comes when we work 1 month and one hour in a week. But mostly it's like advising and talking about how to be their kids and give some psychoeducation and sexual education, and sometimes teach them to give it to them, to the children.
Okay, Jukka, thank you very much for your presentation and for this Q&A, and best of luck in your work, and also to your dog Rambo. It's taking good care of you as well, which is really important.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Ja meie liigume edasi viimase diskussiooni juurde, aga enne veel vaatame vastust teisele küsimusele, millele teil oli võimalik vastata workshop keskkonnas. Ja küsimus oli järgmine, kellega peaksite nõu lapse või noore sobimatule seksuaalkäitumisele sekkumise osas. Ja siin sõnapilves kõige suuremalt on kuvatud kolleegiga, ehk siis see vastus on olnud kõige populaarsem, või siis ka psühholoogiga, spetsialistidega. Aga siit on teile näha, et tegelikult see pilt on väga kirju, on mainitud rühmaõpetajad, ka lastemaja, lasteabitelefoni, lastekaitset, sotsiaalpedagoogi. Et ühelt poolt see siis näitab ka seda, kui palju on neid erinevaid tugispetsialiste, kellega on võimalik konsulteerida, kes sellisel hetkel saab olla toeks. Ilmselt ei ole väga hea jääda selle küsimuse või murega üksi. Aga ma palun siia enda vestluspartneri, kelleks on Erika Franz, kes on lipusüsteemi looja, on seksuaalvägivalla ennetuse, seksuaaltervise ekspert Belgiast ja paljudele Eesti spetsialistidele, kes tegelevad laste ja noortega, on ta tuttav siis tõepoolest lipusüsteemi koolitustelt, lipusüsteemi koolitajate koolitustelt. Erika, ole hea. Erika, join us.
Hello.
Hello. So, having heard the presentations from Lemme and Jukka, what are the main aspects you would like to focus on or to comment? What caught your attention the most you would like to reflect on?
Well, I could say I'm very happy that there is attention for the more vulnerable children and young people, those who have a trauma in their life or have committed some behavior that is not okay, and it's very important that this aspect is also part of the whole treatment and the whole prevention. Yes, the attention that we should address this. So I'm very happy to hear it. And as they all both, I think, mentioned, the underlying problems of sexual aggressive behavior or sexual abusive behavior can be very broad. There can be very big differences in the underlying problems. And one of the problems that we have, I think, is central in this, and they both also stressed on this, is the stigmatization that is going on when people are victims or people are perpetrators. And it's in the word itself. We call them victims, we call them perpetrators. We like, in Belgium, we like to say people that experienced a situation that has victimized them, or people that have committed something that has was abusive to others, because it's not the identification of the person with the behavior. It's a very bad thing, because people believe it themselves. I am a perpetrator, I am a victim, and I cannot change. And this is, I think, central to what both people stressed, is that people can change. They can move on, and they can, yeah.
In your work, I know that you get calls also from specialists working with children and youth, because you're working with flag system, and you have the soul behind flag system, and you will be presenting about it afterwards as well. How often do you see that the underlying problems really rely on something else, not the sexual behavior itself, as referred before, like the lack of attachment, maybe something that's going on in the environment of the child?
Well, you always have to be aware that this is mostly something else going on. When we educate children and we learn them how to eat, for instance, we can really show them this is how you eat and this is why you not should eat like that. In sexual behavior, we are not able to do this so strictly, and we cannot show what is the right thing to do. And children learn by picking up pieces, and it's normal that they learn some things that are not appropriate, that they have bad examples, that they look for things on the website that are not for their age. It's quite normal that they learn things that are not appropriate. So this is the main. The beginning is look what have they learned, what have they understood, what didn't they learn, and then explain. So the pedagogical part of the sexual education around boundaries and about limits and about my own feelings sometimes is completely lacking. Children have to listen to their parents, listen to the educators, and they are instructed to listen to themselves. What are your own feelings, your own boundaries? What do you feel? And then it's only when you understand yourself that you can understand someone else and see that when you are hurt, maybe someone else is also hurt when you do this and that. And it's harmful, and it's not respectful, and it's causing harm. And it's the whole area around this relating to sexuality. Sexuality can be a very strong weapon to harm someone, or a very strong weapon to get some attention. So it's a very, very powerful thing, sexuality. And if we don't teach children and model children how to behave in that area, you will go on making victims and perpetrators. And what I've learned from the flag system is that it's so difficult to speak really very practical about sexual behavior. And that's something we teach when we teach the system. We teach adults to say, you touched my breasts. So you really have to say the words, because when saying the words, you do something about the taboo. You empower children to earn the language and to use the language. And this is sometimes we see when we have training sessions for professionals, that professionals are really reluctant to use terms, sexual terms. It was also in some of the former presentations about vulva, penis. Yes, you really need to give children these words because they are important.
I understand from what you're saying that there are some key elements or principles that the specialists need to understand while analyzing, reacting to this situation and the kind of behavior and understanding the children's sexuality in general. One thing you mentioned is knowing what's normal. And then also the element of being able to explicitly describe the situations and say the words, also the specialist. If you think broader, what are the other key principles that the specialist should know or share?
Share. Well, you say knowing what's normal. It's already a question mark because you have to know that sexuality is very diverse, that there is not one prototype of this is good sexuality and all the rest is not. So it can be that fetishism is really okay for someone, or that. So there are completely different forms of sexuality than the very prototype heterosexual man, women, and we love each other. So this is something a professional really needs to learn, is that the diversity is there. And that this is something of your professional knowledge that you have to use to be able to guide some other people in their sexuality, and not to be afraid to talk about this. Okay. But saying this, what I discovered in training adults is that there are a lot of issues that are laying there and sleeping and are not really addressed within the life of the professional themselves. So most of them have also experiences that are negative or have had troubles, and if you don't integrate your personal your personal sexual experiences into your professional persona, then someone said, what is it? We got stuck. Yeah, you got stuck. You cannot proceed. You cannot taking step forward. So it has to be. You have to bring the whole team as sexuality close to you and close to your person and close to your heart before you can act as a professional in a very easy and comfortable way. So this is what happens when we use the flux system in training, that we discuss a lot of things about our own childhood or our own experiences with clients that are not respectful to us as a professional and how it hurts us. And this is very important to be able to give this a place in your attitude and your professional and not flying away, not fleeing away, not yes, adjusting your behavior in terms that the client cannot harm you. You have really to address these issues.
You mentioned that sexuality has like an element of power and that can be used as control, or is it something that scares the specialists working with children also? Because it somehow shows that with their sexuality or sexual behavior, they express also their power over someone else.
It plays a role when you're a woman and you have to work with boys of 16-year-old, and they are a little bit trying what they can do with you, and then they are not respecting your boundaries and touching your breasts. It's like a little accident, but it happens again and again, and then you feel as a professional, you really feel. You don't feel safe. So this is what is happening too. And what I learned is that this is not yet people who work with clients in a close contact have a lot of these experiences, and they are not addressed on the work floor. They are not. There's no talks about this. So they are angry. There is a lot of angriness. So this is not serious. This should not have happened to me. And I understand. And I think before we can really professionalize in working with clients, we need to have this level of comfort ourselves and protection from the policy of the institution where we work for and so on.
It's my observation and understanding that we in Estonia, we try to be more precise and careful with the wording we use, the words we use to describe. And I know I before also mentioned the word perpetrator, but there are words to better describe the young youth and children who, sexually behave in an inappropriate way. What would you say, why should we see these young people, these children as a heterogeneous group? Because it seems that sometimes, specialists also tend to take them as a group, which is a bit of labeling and creates the stigmatization around that. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can give some different examples, or what are the main criteria which differentiate the children?
Well, I think Jukka, it was Jukka.
Jukka,
he gave a very good overview of all the underlying factors that could. He's more professional than me in working with perpetrators, so I cannot add add anything to this list. But there is there are a lot of possible underlying factors, and you need to look really close to how this has happened, what is going on, and your whole the whole story and the whole path you have to go depends on how you on the whole story, and you have to make the story. You have to write the story and look for a way.
Yeah, I understand also with children that it's not themselves, but the behavior that you need to assess and see 6 different elements. Yes. I've been to flag system training, got some knowledge.
That's true.
It's good to rely on, but to keep that on mind. Do you want to add anything on that at the end of?
Well, yes, it's very important really to address the behavior and not the person. We have examples that they say, we have a red flag child, and then you have to correct, no, this child committed something that was not okay, that we labeled as a red flag, which is a really, really serious thing. But the child is not a red child. And then you have the whole system of, we don't want this child here because he can harm other children. It's not because a child has once committed a crime or something that he will do it again, and so on and so on. So you see that once you are in this labeling category of a victim or a perpetrator, people are really trying to hold you away from dangerous places and so on. You cannot go to school, or you cannot, you can go to school, but you cannot go to the sleeping party because and so on and so on. So you're stigmatized from that moment on.
Thank you very much, Erika. Seems that our time is already up.
Okay.
But suur tänu kõigile kuulamast. Erika ettekannet saate juba järgmises plokis kuulata, kus ta räägib lipusüsteemist täiskasvanutele. Mina tänan teid kuulamast ja tuletan meelde, et sessiooni on võimalik järelvaadata, samamoodi teisi sessioone, mida te hetkel vaadata ei saanud, ja samuti on võimalik näha slaide. Suur tänu teile!